Hey, hello, and welcome to the show. It's me, JP. It's time for JP's product pick of the week, and here we are, nearly on time. Someone made the comment in YouTube. Pixel made the comment. I thought trains showed up on time. In some countries, yes. Sorry for the delay. I have no excuse, except it's slightly rainy out, and that just freaks me out in Southern California. So here we are. We have got an exciting product pick this week, one that I really love, and we have plenty in stock, and we have a humongous discount for you today. So the first thing I'll say is, if you're new to the show, you might not know that we broadcast this show from inside the product page, and you can get there with that QR code or this URL right here. Head to that product page. You'll find out what the product pick is. You will see a 50% off, half off. I'm going to double check that myself. Let's see. Sure enough, half off today. Maximum of 10 per customer. If you have big plans, you want to get a bunch of these, you can get up to 10. No resellers, just normal customers. Not to call resellers abnormal, but you know what I mean. So head on over there and you will find out what the product pick is. You can throw them in your cart. You don't need a coupon code or anything like that. All you got to do is chuck them in your cart, hit buy and go. Do that before the end of the show. The price will go back to normal at the end of the show. So this is only during this time. We don't take rain checks, no back orders, nothing like that. Just in real time right now. So let's see. I also want to say hi to people over in our chat. Thank you for showing up over in our Discord chat. If you're wondering where that is, head to adafruit.it/Discord and you will get an instant invite. You can head to our live broadcast chat channel inside of our server. And that's where people are hanging out. We've also got the chat happening over on YouTube. Pixel says it's sunny and beautiful here next door in Phoenix, Arizona. Good for you. We've been getting lots and lots of rain. Our yard is so green. That's unexpected and weird for LA. So let's see. Before I go any further, what I want to do is have Lady Ada introduce us to this product pick. So please take it away, Lady Ada.
So the Grand Central M4, maybe we'll go to the overhead because this is a pretty epic board here. So yeah, so it's the largest CircuitPython compatible board we've got. It's also one of the largest Arduino compatible board we've made. It features the SAMD51. It's a 120 megahertz processor, Cortex M4. It's got like DSP instructions and random number generators and a cache. It's a really wonderful chip. It's got 1 megabyte of flash, 256K of RAM. So it's just can do anything really. You stuff any data you want in RAM and you can process it quite fast. The SAMD21 didn't make a chip with this many pins, so we couldn't make a mega-shaped one. Only the SAMD51 finally came out with a 128-pin chip, which we needed. We needed that many pins to have all the pins do something. So we've got 70 GPIO total. We've got 16 analog inputs, 2 analog outputs, tons of timers, PWMs. I think it's got 8 SIRCOMs, so you can have 8 I2C, SPI, and UART connections. You put 8 megabytes of SPI flash on there, which you can use in Arduino or in CircuitPython to hold your code. There's a debugging port right here if you want to connect your J-Link or Atmel ICE. Micro USB for data upload and debugging. You got your standard, 5 to 12 volt DC jack, and we added an on-off switch so you can easily turn it on or off. We had a little bit of space, and we thought we'd add a SD card. A lot of people use these large boards for driving CNC devices or 3D printers, and so having an SD card slot could be really handy for storing files on it. Built-in NeoPixel for status, LEDs as usual, power supply as usual, and just like a ton of pins. It's a 3-volt logic board, so it's not going to be a perfect drop-in replacement for a Mega, but given that the Dewey didn't, really quite launch very well, and that it had a bunch of problems. I never got I2C working very well on the Dewey. We think that this is kind of the next step up from a Mega. So if you like the Mega, but you're like, well, I want more and I want it faster, because the Mega was only running at 16 megahertz, so this is running at 120. And it's got caching, and it's just super, super fast. And that's not even including all the extra Cortex M4 speed ups that it's got. It's just blazing fast. And you get now all the pins to use with it. So you've got CircuitPython and Arduino support for this. Even though it seems like a really big deal, it's just a really big Metro M4, and we've had that out for at least 6 months. So we're kind of excited to see what people do with it. It's got this beautiful silk screen on the back. This is the ceiling of Grand Central Station. So if you go to New York and you go through Grand Central, if you look at the top of the roof of Grand Central, you'll see this graphic which Philby has adapted for the Grand Central silk screen. Got that train theme, but it's just grand and it's central. So toot toot, check it out.
Sudden music. Hey, yes, toot toot indeed. That made me laugh, and then I lost my cool. So here it is. Check this out. Ding 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 ding. That right there is the product pick of the week this week. It is the Grand Central Metro M4 ATSAM D51 Express. So this is in that really nice, huge, bigger than a Uno, bigger than the sort of normal Metro. Here's a M0 Metro Express. This is the Grand Central. It's ginormous. It is the size of a Mega, if you're familiar with the Arduino Megas. Like Lady Ada said, it has that Grand Central Station ceiling art on the back there. The theme there, the train theme there is unmistakable. This is the closest to a train themed shirt I had, sort of that hickory stripe. But I want to talk to you about this board a little bit. So let me go to this overhead view here. So what to say about it? So it's the ATSAM D51. So it's the Cortex M4 chip. Fantastic for running CircuitPython as well as Arduino. This is running at 120 megahertz. It's fast. It has floating point math support for DSP instructions. It has a meg of flash, 256K of RAM, 8 megs of QSPI, so you can store files on there. You've also got an SD card there, a little micro SD card reader, so you can read files, as large of a file system as you can get to work on there. It has a 32-bit 3.3 volt logic and power. There are 62 GPIO pins broken out here, I believe. I think there may be 70 total. Some of those go to some of the LEDs and things on the board there, but I think you can get it 62 pins, which is just an enormous amount of GPIO without having to go to expanders and use I2C and things like that. If you are building a project that has lots and lots of I/O and needs a lot of speed and you want to use CircuitPython or Arduino, this is a really great board. It's kind of a go-to board. It's a great board to use just when you're prototyping things. You won't run out of I/O on it very soon. You can just plug stuff right into the headers. This one comes with the header pins or the header sockets soldered right onto it. What else was I going to say? The number of analog pins on it is one of the huge draws for me. It has 16 easily available analog pins. I think there are a few others scattered around that you can bring it up to about 20 without having to bodge wires into other things. But 16 right off the bat that are just labeled A0 to A15 inside of CircuitPython. Really easy to get to. Which is a great number, of course, for music-based projects. Sequencers, synthesizers, a lot of things tend to have 8 and 16 knobs that you want to use, or faders. So I'll show you an example project using 16 knobs on one of these, all analog reads. This also has the A0 and A1 real analog output. So if you need to do real stereo audio output, you can do it on this board using the dual DAC that it has on there. There are 8 hardware Circom ports, so you can stack those up as 8 UARTs, 8 separate I2C lines, 8 separate SPI buses. There are 22 outputs that have PWM on it. There is stereo I2S output if you want to go to a little breakout board for that. And it even has the 12-bit parallel capture port for doing video and pictures if you use a compatible camera board. And let's see, I'll show you, here's a couple example projects I want to show you. But actually, before I do that, let me head to the site here. Here is, get that image out of there. Here is the main page. So this is product 4064. And it is half price right now, so $19.98 will get you this amazing board, just a beast of a board. The data sheet for the chip is available here, so if you want to go and check out, this is the, let's see which exact one it is. I think it says, I'm going to go back a page. It's the ATSAMD 51P20A. Is the exact one. So you can check out the data sheet here to find out all of the details. That data sheet is available in the Learn Guide. So if you head to Learn, I'll switch over to that page real quick. If you head to Learn, here's the Learn Guide for introducing the Adafruit Grand Central M4 Express. You will see probably the biggest pinout sheet we have, just because of all these pins broken out. By the way, if you hadn't noticed, the tail of the board here, these are double rows of separate pins. So those are not 2 ports per pin. That's actually separate pins there. You get a bunch of digital outputs. Those are digitals 22 through 53, I think. So you get a whole bunch of input right there at the end. If you head to that Learn Guide, you'll see we've got setup instructions for updating the UF2 bootloader. You can set it up with CircuitPython. You can set it up with Arduino as well. And we have a lot of guides. I think these will show up down at the bottom here. If you scroll on down, there are, let's see, is this showing? Oh, this is showing featured products. If we go back up to Learn here and just use Grand Central. Adafruit Grande Chai Mocha Latte Centrale. Yeah, I made a thing called the Arduino Grande at one point, and I confuse those words in my head when I try to say Grand Central. I go for Grande, so pardon me, that's what's going on there. So here you can see there are a number of guides that are in the Learn system using your Grand Central, including some camera ones from Phil. There's a MIDI guitar. There's one of the robotic xylophone projects. So you can see a lot of these thing they have in common is they need a lot of I/O, and this, especially with analog I/O, this is a great way to do it. Also, this one I'm going to show you a variation on this one here. This Grand Central USB MIDI controller in CircuitPython. This is a project I built a few years ago. There's a Learn Guide on it, and what I'll do is I'm going to show you a new use I came up with for this Proto Board. So we do have a Proto Board that works with the Grand Central. Let me get my camera set up here for you. And can I put a smaller me in the corner there? Let me just fix this. Hold on one second. Should do it. So what you can see here I have is just an external monitor. This is actually running a VGA signal from an old laptop. And on that laptop I'm running Lumen, which is a video synthesizer software that mimics a hardware video synth actually. And I wanted, as you can see, there's a lot of knobs on here. In fact, there's these 16 knobs across the front of it at the top that are really useful when you're tweaking parameters. So what I've done is I've taken, here's my Grand Central, and I have a Proto Board on top of it, to which I've soldered 16 little potentiometers and wired those up to the 16 analog inputs on the Grand Central. And now you'll see, if you look at these top 2 rows of 8 knobs, as I turn the potentiometers in my Grand Central, I'm changing the position of those knobs in the software, and thereby I'm adjusting parameters on this video synth, so we can change the horizontal and vertical sync and frequency and shape and different color things and effects. So you can see it's a really nice way to get a whole bunch of knobs or faders or other analog inputs into a project, all thanks to the Grand Central having those 16 inputs. I'll go ahead and unplug this, move this over to the side, and I'll show you. It takes a little careful wiggling, especially because of this double row at the end here. You don't want to bend those pins, but there you can see Grand Central plus a Proto Board means you have a whole bunch of Proto area there. That's how I set this one up, to wire up a bunch of stuff, bunch of sensors, inputs. These could also be input connectors interfacing to other ribbon cables and things like that off to your project. So that's a nice use, I think, for the Grand Central, is to just get a whole bunch of analog input that's real fast, real easy to work with. Another example, actually, I'll show you plugging directly in. Put that back together there. Into, let's see, do I have enough? I do, yeah, I have a bunch of cable here. So I have a flight stick, joystick, an old-fashioned parallel port or DB15 port one off to the side. I'll show you in a second, but here you can see this is a connector with a bunch of cabling coming out of it, and I went through a breadboard just to pick up some resistors along the way. But with these kind of little jumper cables, you can plug into, and I'm only scratching the surface here, right? So this is, let me see if I can unsuction this thing. It's got suction cup feet. So this is an old-fashioned joystick. It's actually a Radio Shack flight stick. I got it at a thrift store recently. And as let me switch over to this view of the world here. You can see here, as I move the joystick in a couple directions, press the fire buttons, move the throttle, I get these values sent from my Grand Central over to the serial port there. I'm not actually doing anything interesting with them right now. But this has 4 analog lines on it, so you could potentially get 4 of these joysticks plugged into this with no problem, and then take care of some buttons as well. You can see here I've just started to barely scratch the surface of digital button input. You could get tons and tons of buttons. These usually have 4 buttons and 4 analog lines based on the DB15 joysticks there. So let's see. Pixel says you could have 62 Hello World Blink sketches running at once. That would be fantastic. And what else is there to share? So let me, before I forget, I will post. That's the URL again. So if you want to go throw some in your cart at the half price. Normally these are $40-ish. Now they're $20. Just during the show, no coupon code. Just throw those in your cart, up to 10 of them. And you can build nearly any project your heart desires. Love the M4. We, of course, all experienced the part shortage for a while there. Well, we have gotten these ATSAM D51s back in stock. We're able to make boards that use the M4, so we've got a whole bunch of these. I don't think we're going to sell out of these today. Would be great if we did. Go buy loads and loads of these and build some cool projects. We'd love to see what you build with them. This one also has a lot of the conveniences of, where did I just lost one. I put it over here. This one actually has a lot of the conveniences that I appreciate from pretty much the original Arduino Due and Mega and Uno designs. The barrel connector for power, so you can give that a DC power anywhere up to, I think, 12 volts to power that. We have on-off switch here. I think that's an addition that Lamore put that you wouldn't see on some of the Arduino ones. We've got the reset button there. This has the typical 4 LEDs for power, as well as indicator for things like bootloading and TX and RX transmission. But it also has a NeoPixel on there, so you can do some interesting status things with that on top of your usual LED tricks. So I don't know what else to say about it. It's a great board. Let me know if you have any questions or thoughts in the chat. Otherwise, we will wrap things up. Go back to this page here. Good. No questions? Yeah, so many pins. All right. Let's do it then. Let's wrap this up. Thanks everyone for stopping by today. That's my product pick of the week this week. It is the Grand Central Metro M4 Express. Bye-bye.